Well, you know, nursing home costs in Wisconsin average up to $107,000 a year. So people who need long-term care are often looking at options as to how they can afford it.
Medicaid is one option, but the application and qualification process can be cumbersome.
Yeah, Peter Harbach is here from Hooper Law Office to help us navigate the process. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, what is the first step our viewers should take if they are applying for Medicaid?
Well, a good first step is to actually talk to an elder law attorney. Medicaid qualification is inordinately complex and very difficult to navigate. There's certain assets that count towards your application, and there's certain things that are exempt when you're applying for Medicaid. And there's also certain strategies that can be implemented in order to perhaps preserve some assets so that the person's able to maintain a good quality of life and get Medicaid assistance. And so there's different resources that are available to people to find out about programs, but really it's only elder law attorneys that can give legal advice and strategies on how to get qualified.
Well, here's what a lot of people ask. Do they need to sell their home in order to qualify for Medicaid?
Yeah, I get that question quite a bit. And there's a lot of misinformation about that. In a lot of circumstances, selling the home is actually detrimental to a Medicaid application. But a married couple where there's a spouse who's still living in the home, they don't necessarily need to sell the home. Sometimes it might be a good financial idea just because maybe they can't afford to maintain the home. But in a lot of circumstances, people are told, well, you need to sell the house in order to qualify for Medicaid, and a lot of times that's just not true. And in other circumstances, it's even just a bad idea because the money they get from the home maybe puts them over assets and they don't qualify for Medicaid.
Any other misinformation that's out there? We talked about the house, but what else do people commonly come to you with questions about?
There's such a big group of things. A lot of people say, should I put my house in the kids' names in order to qualify? And although theoretically that can be done, it's fraught with a lot of problems in a lot of circumstances. In particular, if you're transferring any assets in less than 5 years before you're making an application for Medicaid, that can actually hurt your Medicaid application. It actually can delay it and give you a penalty period.
Oh, wow.
And so some people are planning ahead of time, but signing the house over to the kids, that can open it up to their liabilities. Sometimes it can have detrimental tax effects, and there's other planning that can be done in that kind of a circumstance. So that's just one example of many things that I hear that are just wrong about how to do this kind of planning.
Well, you mentioned planning ahead of time. Is there a timeline we need to keep in mind when planning for long-term care?
Ideally, people are doing this stuff 5 years in advance, because that's the look-back period. And if you're putting it in a Medicaid application, they kind of ask, what have you done in the last 5 years? And it's better to be able to say, well, I did it all more than 5 years ago. But what people need to understand is it's not too late, even if somebody's already in an assisted living facility or a CBRF or a skilled nursing facility, they're not out of options. There's planning that can be done to preserve assets, make sure the person is able to maintain a good quality of life in the facility. That can be done even if they've been there for years. They just need to seek out information and get good advice.
Elder law attorney.
Well, the place to start is at a free seminar happening Wednesday, July 18th. You can attend at either 2 or 6 p.m.
It's at Fox Valley Tech's Riverside campus. That's in Oshkosh. And though it is free, they'd like you to register. The phone number to do that is 920-993-0990. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.